2024 was undeniably an unbelievably great year for the WWE. But more than anything, it was an amazing year for us, the fans, who were treated to fantastic and unforgettable storylines and feuds, amazing shows, and of course, great matches. So in today's video, we're going to be going over what I thought were the best matches in the WWE's main roster in the entirety of 2024. So I've compiled my top 20 list of my favorite matches of the year, and we're going to work our way through from 20th place all the way through to what I thought was the top match in the WWE's main roster all year. It goes without saying that this is obviously a very subjective list, so there's going to be matches on here that you maybe disagree with. Maybe I have them too high, or maybe I have them too low in your opinion. So please let me know in the comments what you agree or disagree with, but of course, be civil about it. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. But if daily wrestling content isn't enough, come check out the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, we also upload daily wrestling content, but it's content that never gets uploaded here to YouTube. So if you're interested, come check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. Let's start off the video. Starting things off at number 20, we have the WWE Women's Championship triple threat match between Bayley, Tiffany Stratton, and Naomi at Backlash France. Here's the thing, in its own right, this is just the fantastic women's triple threat match with some great free-flowing wrestling, some really cool spots, some chain moves between all three of them, some really close 2 counts, and a really crafty finish. This also served as a reminder of how good all three of these women are individually, and a reminder of how deep the SmackDown women's division was at this point. It's also my favorite type of triple threat match, which is a triple threat match where all three combatants are actually like in the ring working the entire time amongst each other from beginning to end. But what really elevated this match from great to a top 20 match of the year for me was the crowd, because the crowd truly made these women feel like they were larger than life and like they were fighting for the most important thing that you could possibly think of. So when you take a great match combined with great talent and then you add a fantastic crowd, I feel like you've got the recipe for something just truly special. At number 19, I have part 2 of the fantastic trilogy that was CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, this time at Bash in Berlin in a 4-corner strap match. Listen, initially, I actually wasn't a fan of this stipulation. I thought that it was going to be a little bit too much like a game show and a little bit too gimmicky, but once the match actually started, the stipulation was perfect for the story that they were trying to tell. Because these two just needed to kill each other. Like, just to put it simply and blunt, you needed to put them in a stipulation that allowed them to kill each other, in a stipulation that prevented either one from running away. It allowed for a stipulation that made it so you had to drag the lifeless corpse of your opponent in order to be able to win, which created a great visual representation of what this feud was leading to, which was just the utter destruction of each other. So you have a match that's conducive of just a lot of carnage. You got blood, you got table spots, you just have a lot of like nasty moments that make you kind of just grimace, and then you tack on the fact that you have one of the most intense feuds of the year. You have insane star power in CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, and just like in France, you have a great crowd in Berlin elevating this match to make it feel like a true, honestly, like WrestleMania main event caliber type of match. You got yourself something special. Sometimes match of the year contenders just seemingly come out of nowhere, but everybody should have seen this one coming between Ricochet and Ilya Dragonov, which I have at my 18th position. Here's the thing, this was just a match for the sake of having a great match, but they took that role and didn't just deliver a great match, they delivered a fucking fantastic match. Obviously, people know that Ricochet is fantastic in the ring and can do some things that literally just make no sense, and then you have Ilya Dragunov, admittedly at the time a relative unknown to the more casual fans of the main roster, but if you knew that he was gonna be one of the best performers that the main roster in 2024 had, and then you put these two together and you created absolute fireworks. The problem with this match was that it was on TV, which means it had commercials, and 2, it didn't really have a story because these two were just fighting because they were in the same tournament bracket. But honestly, it didn't really matter because the work rate of this elevated this to something truly fantastic. Coming in at number 17 is a match I missed. I didn't get to see this live in Bram Breakker versus Jay Uso for the Intercontinental Championship. Listen, at the end of the day, day, wrestling is about moments. It's about creating those long-lasting memories. And this is one of those matches that created that long-lasting memory. It's one of those matches that paid off something that wrestling fans have been clamoring for the better part of a year and a half, which is Jay Uso finally winning something of meaning by himself after leaving the bloodline and leaving his brother Jimmy Uso. And we got it all on like the most random episode of Monday Night Raw with absolutely little to no buildup. But the match itself was a tremendous amount of fun. Bram Breaker and Jay Uso had great chemistry with each other, but where this match truly won was in the final like 6 minutes of the match, where it was just close call after close call after close call. Honestly, I aged like 5 years just in the last 5 minutes of this match. But the reason why this match really catapulted itself into my top 20, it's because of the moment. Jay Uso winning that Intercontinental Championship is something that helped elevate this match to something that I'm never going to forget. At number 16, I could have gone with any variation of Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable because they just had so many great matches in 2024. But I ultimately went with this one because of a couple of reasons. One, I felt like it was the match where I felt like Sami Zayn was in the most danger of actually losing this championship. And two, I just felt like it was the best worked match. And three, we got the big story payoff, albeit a payoff that they didn't really do anything with, which was Alpha Academy finally ditching Chad Gable. So you had a really fun story between what was going on with Chad Gable and Alpha Academy, and then you compound it and add a fantastic match, a great crowd in Glasgow, and you have yourself one of the best matches of the year. And really, to no one's surprise, like Sami Zayn is just an all-around great worker that can have a fantastic match with pretty much a broomstick at this point. But if you put him across the ring from one of the best in-ring technicians that the WWE has seen in the past 5 years in Chad Gable, then it's a no-brainer that they're going to put on a fantastic match. Look, I like my Carnage, which is why at 15 I have the triangle ladder match for the WWE Tag Team titles between DIY, The Bloodline, and the Street Profits. I think that part of the reason why I really love this match, aside from the insane spots, the crazy work rate, and the insane talent, is the fact that any one of these teams could have won, and it, one, would have been believable, two, it would have been deserved, and three, it would have been something that the crowd would have been happy with. And that's a rarity in the world of professional wrestling, where you can do no wrong with the decision. And I ultimately feel like they did go with the right one, having the infamous Botchaloa not botch grabbing the titles there at the end. This was a great TV match. This could have been on a PLE. It was definitely PLE worthy, but the fact that it was on Friday Night SmackDown honestly kind of makes this feel a little bit more special. Sticking with fantastic matches on Friday Night SmackDown, let's look at number 14. I have Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the undisputed WWE Championship in a steel cage match. This was a week where WWE was going just all out. They were going hard in the fucking paint with Friday Night SmackDown because this was the first episode of SmackDown on the USA Network, and they went hard because this was a truly awesome match that started the night, by the way. This wasn't even the main event. But out of all of the matches that Cody Rhodes has had this year, this is one of the better ones, and I feel pretty confident in saying that this is Solo Sikoa's best match of his career as well. The stipulation of the cage, the history between Cody and Solo Sikoa, the just overlooming presence of the bloodline and the return of Roman Reigns just kind of created this like party atmosphere for this match that I'm not gonna forget anytime soon. We literally just saw this one. This was technically the last WWE main roster match of the year. Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria in the semifinal of the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. Oh, this match was so good. It's kind of like the Ricochet and Ilya Dragonov story, where there's no story or background between these two. These two are just really great in-ring technicians that just happen to maybe have the best chemistry out of any duo in the WWE right now, men or women. They'd already had a match of the year contender for the Women's Queen of the Ring tournament, and then you put them again in here and they delivered again. I think the reason why I love this match is because there is just such creative offense in here. I've never seen an avalanche off the top rope victory roll. It was fucking sick. You had high flying moves, you have submission wrestling, you have grappling, and a really awesome crafty finish with Lyra Valkyria just getting the best out of Io Sky. This is one of my favorite women's matches of the entire year. The men's War Games match between Bloodline featuring CM Punk and Bloodline 2.0. Fellas, the build-up to this was awesome. The reveal of CM Punk and Paul Heyman being the final additions to Team Roman Reigns, the collection of bringing in all of the members of the OG Bloodline, the recruitment of Bronson Reed, and then you put all of the most talented guys that you can have in the main event scene and you put them in 2 cages, and obviously you're gonna have one of the craziest car wrecks of the year. Maybe a bit too much of a car wreck because way too many people got injured in this match to the point where I'm questioning whether we should have a match like this ever again because we just lost too many damn great workers in this match to injury. But like, what didn't this match have? It had an awesome ending with everyone surrounding Solo Sikoa. It had literally like the most insane spots that you can think of. A tsunami off the top of the cage through a table, which makes him break his own ankle. Spots aside, you then also have this intense rivalry and storyline heating up within the match, and you literally see like the story progression of Roman Reigns and CM Punk in real time. This match honestly has it all. I'm kind of surprised I don't have it higher, but maybe I just don't have it as high as I probably should because of the lack of payoff that's come about from this match. Coming in at number 11, I have the Women's Elimination Chamber match at Elimination Chamber Perth. The timeliness of it is so cool. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, this is amazing.
No fear from
so sick. Oh. That, folks, was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, available exclusively on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we're going to be looking at an indie gem from 2016 between Rey Fenix and Will Ospreay. We're looking at the greatest squash match of all time, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series 2016. The legendary WWE Championship match between CM Punk and John Cena at Money in the Bank 2011. We're also looking at the unmasking of Kane and Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in the Cruiserweight Classic. You're going to be getting all of this, plus the Raw reviews, the SmackDown reviews, the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early, the Undertaker WrestleMania watch-alongs that we're currently doing, and the Royal Rumble match watch-alongs that we're doing leading up to the Royal Rumble as well. So come check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. The link will be in the description or it will be in the pinned comment of this video. We upload daily on the Patreon, and all of the videos that go on there are videos that never get seen here on YouTube. So go check it out. I'm confident if you even try for 1 month that you're gonna fall in love with it. But if you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support. You're the reason why I'm able to do this as a full-time creator. But let's get back to the video. This was one of those matches that just created the narrative that the women will just almost forever, with the exception of the recent men's War Games match, will just have the better gimmick match when compared to the men. I think the reason why I loved this match in particular is because I remember crazy spots from every single one of these competitors. There was no one that felt like a background character. Everyone got their time to shine. Tiffany Stratton had her coming out party. Raquel Rodriguez in this looked like a true monster. Liv Morgan looked like the craftiest wrestler that you can think of. Dude, this match, honestly, I want to go back and rewatch it now, just talking about it, because this is a great showcase of just how insanely deep the women's roster is in 2024. Coming in at number 10, a forgotten gem. Dudes, I'm telling you, this match fucks. The Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, what was supposed to just be a run-of-the-mill tag team match, turned into a street fight before everything even started. And remember, this is the Backlash crowd. So not only did we have a match with insane star power, with a storyline that was one of the most intriguing at the time, which was the creation of Solo's bloodline, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get a street fight, you get insane spots, you get these guys fighting within the crowd, you have the reveal of the infamous Tongaloa, and then the French crowd. This thing is an forgotten gem. Not enough people talk about how good this match was. And I feel like part of the reason why people forget about this match is because Backlash as a whole just had so many memorable things, but the way that the show started was with this, and it started off hot, and it's one of my favorite matches of the year. Who would have thought Solo Sikoa appearing twice on this list? Honestly, I honestly didn't even realize I had him this many times in this list until now. Are you ready for the wall of Gunther? Because we're going to see some Gunther matches from here on out, pretty much consecutively. Coming in at number 9, I have Gunther versus Damian Priest at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think by far this was Damian Priest's best match as a World Heavyweight Champion, and I think it might be the best match that he's had of his career, because it truly felt like he stepped up to the moment. He stepped up to the ultimate, like, final boss, not, final boss, but like a final boss that you can face as a babyface, as a world champion in Gunther. I was there live for SummerSlam, and this is the match that stood out the most to me as like the best in-ring match of the night, but it also was the hardest hitting by far. Some of the slaps and chops that these two were delivering to each other were just insane. And the chemistry between Damian Priest and Gunther was undeniable. And I didn't think that they were going to have as good a chemistry as they did. And I think part of the reason why I have it as high as I do was the surprise factor, because I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it ultimately was. So we had a fantastic in-ring match. You had the stakes being really high in a World Heavyweight Championship match. You had the crazy plot twist of Finn Balor betraying his brother of several years in Damian Priest. And then you have a new World Heavyweight Champion being crowned in Gunther in a strong crowd as well in Cleveland. Oh, dude, this match was just fantastic. I'll be really quick here because we're, again, in the wall of Gunther. I'm just going to talk about these two basically back to back with each other. I have both Randy Orton and Gunther matches back to back with one another. I do think that the King of the Ring final was a sliver bit better than their World Championship match at Bash in Berlin. I think part of the reason why I like the King of the Ring match a little bit more is because we hadn't seen it yet. Meanwhile, at Bash in Berlin, we knew what to expect. We knew that these two were going to go out and just ball out. The reason why I like the King of the Ring match and the Bash in Berlin match between these two, it's because these are just two greats of the sport. The way that I described it in my review of both of these shows, which by the way were months apart, and I described them the same way. It felt like two super AI quantum computing, like supercomputers trying to outcode each other, because they are both just the best of the best when it comes to in-ring work. They are absolute gods of professional wrestling, and seeing them go toe-to-toe with one another in matches that were both over 30 minutes is just a treat to the fans. I could watch Randy Orton versus Gunther like literally until the end of time. I hope that at some point we revisit this at a time where, Gunther can actually be in danger of losing the World Heavyweight Championship. That's also part of the reason why the Bash in Berlin match maybe just doesn't quite hit as hard, because I never once thought that Gunther was going to lose that match at all. Meanwhile, the King and Queen of the Ring final between these two, I genuinely didn't know who was going to win. I thought that it could go either way. So yeah, I'll kind of just like lump them together at 8 and number 7, because I mean, like, if you preferred one over the other, I'm not going to argue, but yeah, I hope I explained my reasons why I like the King of the Ring final a little bit more than their match at Bash in Berlin, but like, they're almost like equally as good. Staying with Gunther at number 6, I have Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 40. Here's the thing, I'm still pissed that it's Gunther versus Sami Zayn. In terms of who it should have been, we know it should have been Chad Gable. The right story was Gunther and Chad Gable. The story between these two didn't even materialize until like a week out before the match. And it wasn't a good story leading into it, but the story in the match, that's where this won me over, because this match is a thing of beauty. And if this had a good story and a good narrative backing it, this might be in the top 3. I still feel like it should have been Chad Gable. I still feel like it might be even better had it been Chad Gable. But the work that Gunther and Sami Zayn pulled off in this match is absolutely remarkable. It felt like the changing of the guard. It felt like a new generation had come come about because Sami Zayn beating Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship just seemed like an impossibility. We're talking about a 600+ day reign coming to an end right before our very eyes in an absolute 5-star classic. And one of the reasons why I love this match so much is just the final 5 minutes. The final 5 minutes are one of the most visually emotional things that I've seen in professional wrestling. Seeing Sami Zayn make one of the most insane comebacks. It reminded me of LeBron James and the Cavaliers coming down from being 1-3 against the Warriors all those years ago. The finish was just so freaking perfect. My only complaint is that it should have been Chad Gable. That's all. Literally, that's the only nitpick I have about this match. At number 5, I have what I think is the best women's singles match that I've maybe have seen since Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39. This thing between Io Sky and Bayley for the Women's WWE Championship is truly a thing of legend in women's wrestling in my eyes. And I felt like this match just sort of had an uphill battle. It got no marketing, barely any tender love and care from the WWE leading into it. So it sort of felt like Io and Bayley were going out there to prove a point, and prove a point they fucking did. Out of all of the matches that I have on here, maybe the most impressive finishing sequence, final 3 minutes, is this match. To me, this is professional wrestling perfected. We expect this from Io Sky. Io Sky is such a great worker, but there were a lot of question marks about Bayley's ability to be able to have that classic match that was kind of missing from her main roster repertoire. A lot of people felt that she just sort of peaked in NXT in those matches against Sasha Banks, but she finally has her WrestleMania moment and her marquee main roster match against Io Sky. This thing is truly majestic. I still don't think it's the best women's match of the year, because coming in at number 4, I have the Women's Royal Rumble match, and I really firmly believe that this isn't just the best Women's Royal Rumble match ever. I think it's one of the best Royal Rumble matches of all time, because it's got everything that you could possibly want that would make a great, memorable, long-lasting image of what a great Royal Rumble is. It's got the perfect winner, the winner everyone wanted. You might have turned sour on Bayley after winning the championship, but remember, we all wanted Bayley. We all felt like Bayley was the deserving winner. Not only did they have Bayley win, they had her go from number 3. When she came out at number 3, we all thought, shit, Bayley's definitely not winning this. And yet she did. You have great returns like Liv Morgan's return. You have great debuts like Jade Cargill. You have an insane, shocking appearance from somebody from a different company in TNA, the TNA Knockouts champion, Jordynne Grace. Everything that you ask for out of a Royal Rumble, we got in the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble. The final sequence between Jade Cargill, Liv Morgan, and Bayley, that shit lives rent-free in my head. It was so good. Coming in at number 3, we have what I think is the best in-ring match of the year. I want to clarify that. I think that this is the best in-ring match that the WWE put on all year. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship at Backlash France. You want to know the only problem with this match? It's the fact that we know that AJ Styles wasn't going to win. There was zero drama in that regard. We knew Cody was going to win. We knew that this was just a filler feud for Cody Rhodes, and because of that, the drama that comes about from a major match like this wasn't there. But with the drama not being there, the crowd absolutely was, because the crowd for this match is the craziest, loudest, rowdiest crowd that I've ever seen for any professional sport. It's funny because the closest thing that I can compare that crowd to during this match, it's one of those rowdy Eastern European football crowds, or a South American Colombian, Brazilian, Argentinian crowd. And we got that here in professional wrestling, something that I never thought I would see. We talked about earlier in my 20th place match, the triple threat match for the women's title, that the crowd elevated this match from something great to something special. That crowd elevated this from something fantastic to something that should be freaking enshrined. But yeah, obviously the work rate of these two gave us what I think is a perfect wrestling match. Funny enough, out of the top 3 matches, if there was a match that you want to show a non-wrestling fan or somebody that's like getting into wrestling, because this match doesn't really need any story context to enjoy, this is the match of the year. This is the match that I would show. But wrestling is, at the end of the day, more than just what happens in the ring. It's about the moments. It's about the atmosphere. And I do feel like the 2 matches that I have ahead of this created those special moments a little bit better than this. At number 2, come on, you knew that this was going to be 1 or 2. I have Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 and Bloodline Rules. Listen, without all of the crazy shit that happens at the end of this match, the return of John Cena, the return of The Undertaker, the final boss, the stuff with Shield Seth Rollins, this is still a really great match. The work rate between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes was fantastic. I think it's better than the WrestleMania 39 match. But yes, this is a great match that is elevated by the crazy Avengers Endgame style stuff that happened in the final 5 minutes of the match. I feel like if the number 1 is like Shawshank Redemption, number 2 here, this is like Fast and Furious. Like, it's not going to win my match of the year, but it might be the most entertaining match of the year because of all of the craziness that happens. And rounding out at number 1, my favorite match of the year was indeed the Hell in a Cell match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. And now can we all agree that this should have just main evented Bad Blood? Yeah, we're all in agreement. Yeah, okay, thanks. You can pretty much take everything that I said about the Bash in Berlin match between these two and just kind of amplify by like 40-fold here. Not only do I think this is the best match of the year, I am going to go out on a limb and say that this is the best Hell in a Cell match that I've ever seen. And I think part of the reason why I love this stipulation for this match is because they use the cell as a confinement for the hatred and the chaos and the carnage that these two were going to create. They didn't use the cage as a prop to elevate the match because they didn't need to jump off the cage. They didn't need to put people through the cage. They just needed to use the cage to keep just the craziness that was going to happen between these two encapsulated in a WWE ring. These guys went nearly 40 minutes just hitting each other with like some of the most heinous shit that you can imagine, some of the nastiest spots. That missed Claymore where Drew McIntyre went low back first into the edge of the steps is just gnarly. But here's the thing, this didn't feel like brutality and gore for the sake of it. Every drop of blood, every crazy spot, every grimacing, like inducing move that happened in this match felt right, it felt at home, and it felt earned because of the fantastic story that they told. And you know what? I feel like Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk is the perfect example that you don't need to stretch out a feud for 6 months, Triple H. We completed the trilogy in 2 months, and it was perfect. Yeah, this is my favorite match of the year. I frankly don't think it's close. I think that this is significantly better than Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. This is also a match that didn't need any like third-party glitz and glamour. This is a great, incredible, memorable match on its own right without any of the crazy shenanigans that the WrestleMania 40 main event needed. But I will say, people for the most part will either pick this one or the WrestleMania 40 match, and to each his own. But that's it, folks. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Okay, goodbye. Get out of here.